And thanks for staying with us. We're delighted to be joined by Don Ma with NTD's Business Matters. Don, what's the latest?
Hey, good to see you. So let me start off this Friday afternoon in the crypto industry. So Montenegro has approved the extradition of cryptocurrency mogul Do Kwon to the U.S. Kwon is the former CEO of South Korea-based Terraform Labs. The company was behind the Terra USD, a stablecoin designed to maintain a constant $1 price. It collapsed in 2022, roiling cryptocurrency markets. He was arrested in March the following year while trying to leave Montenegro. Kwon is wanted in the U.S. and South Korea. In a statement, the Justice Ministry said that most legal criteria favored the U.S. request and signed a decree to send him to the U.S. And consumers are unwrapping a lot of debt this holiday season. The National Retail Federation noted that spending was clearly on track to reach a record in November and December. It projected spending up to $989 billion. Other reports reveal shoppers are relying on credit cards for their holiday spending. A Lending Tree report found that more than a third of consumers have taken on debt this season. Based on the survey, the average amount was about $1,100. And a sprawling Chinese espionage campaign just got larger. The White House has confirmed Chinese hackers have targeted and breached a ninth U.S. telecom firm. This has given Beijing access to private texts and phone conversations of an unknown number of Americans. The Biden administration had already warned that 8 telecom companies had been compromised by the group dubbed Salt Typhoon. The FBI has not publicly identified any of the victims, but officials speculate that conversations between senior U.S. government officials and prominent political figures were targeted. Meanwhile, in New York, the city has enacted the Climate Change Superfund Act. Under the law, fossil fuel companies will be charged for alleged climate damage from 2000 to 2018. The law was signed by Governor Kathy Hochul yesterday. It aims to hold carbon-emitting companies accountable, estimating $75 billion in damages. The funds will be used for infrastructure projects, including wetland restoration and stormwater system upgrades. The law takes effect in 2028, and similar measures are under consideration in New Jersey, California, and Maryland. Opponents argue that it targets the energy sector unfairly, while advocates say it's a necessary step for corporate accountability. Energy companies are expected to file legal challenges to the new law. They argue federal regulations on energy companies and polluters take precedence over it. Rent to buy. Hertz appears to be selling its electric cars for cheap. The rental company is making a U-turn on its electric fleet. Just 3 years ago, Hertz acquired 100,000 Teslas, accounting for about 20% of its global fleet. The company has had a rough financial year, and Bloomberg reports that the company's strategy is to reduce its number of EVs. A Reddit user shared an email allegedly from Hertz that offered the customer the opportunity to buy the 2023 Tesla Model 3 being rented for just under $18,000. Lyft has filed a lawsuit against San Francisco, saying the city overcharged it by $100 million in taxes. The ride-hailing company is accusing the city of doing so over the last 5 years. The complaint states that the city should not have included fees that riders paid to drivers as part of Lyft's revenue. The company explained that it considers drivers as customers and not employees. The case comes amid a larger and growing debate over how ride-hailing drivers should be classified and how gig economy companies should be taxed. And wedding retailer David's Bridal is taking a different approach to reaching customers searching for creative ideas. They acquired Love Stories TV to assist in starting a wedding industry TV network. NTD Sean Marshall has more details.
David's Bridal Incorporated, or David's for short, the nation's leading bridal retailer, is announcing the launch of Pearl Media Network and the acquisition of Love Stories TV.
Love Stories TV, an entertainment brand delivering heartwarming stories, superstar experts, and amazing weddings to a passionate audience.
We started Love Stories TV back in 2016. Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary, if you're watching, I'm going to tag you and send you this clip. Said he would meet with me when I started Love Stories TV, and he's like, weddings, content, okay, I get it, I love it. He goes, I'm going to call the CEO of David's Bridal. And I'm like, okay.
David's is pursuing a digital-first approach to wedding content and inspiration. It will connect advertisers directly to couples during their most engaged moments, offering exciting and targeted content. David's is tapping into over 20 million viewers per month across content platforms and a library of over 30,000 real wedding videos.
And what we're finding is that well before you're a bride, even when you're a girlfriend, you are looking at content for weddings because, to Kelly's point, that's your dream.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
Just weeks ago, David's signed a partnership with DoorDash, enabling customers to purchase wedding dresses and more from their phones. Brides and grooms are no longer flocking to Google and traditional wedding vendor directories for inspiration and research. Instead, they're turning to social platforms. According to online wedding registry Zola, 68% of couples are vetting photographers, makeup artists, and venues on Instagram and TikTok, or looking to podcasts and influencers for their wedding planning needs. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
From off the shelf and under the tree to back in the store, the holiday gift return season has been ushered in. The National Retail Federation is estimating nearly $900 billion in returns this year. It expects about 17% of sales to be sent back. Return season is expected to peak between now and January 2nd. Experts recommended checking return policies since they can vary. Declining U.S. birth rates and shrinking enrollment could soon force some schools to close. Federal pandemic aid is gone, creating budget gaps for some districts. Experts predict that layoffs and closure of underused or under-enrolled schools. A new report from Georgetown University suggests cost-saving ideas over drastic cuts. It says smaller schools often cost more per pupil than larger districts, and rural schools could combine staff roles to lower costs and remain open. The report says large urban schools with shrinking class sizes could adopt multi-role staffing or merge classes. Other savings could include online courses, shared sports teams, and as well community help. Two former executives with the bankrupt FTX cryptocurrency exchange have shaved time off their sentences. Caroline Ellison and Ryan Salem were convicted for their roles in the crypto fraud led by FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried. Ellison was sentenced to 2 years in prison after she pleaded guilty to 7 federal counts of fraud and conspiracy. Her release date has been moved up by 3 months. Salem pleaded guilty to criminal fraud charges in September 2023 and was sentenced to 7.5 years in federal prison, but now his release date has been pushed up by more than a year. The Bureau of Prisons did not comment on this specific case, but did say qualified inmates are eligible for up to 54 days of good conduct time for each year of their sentence. Inmates can also earn time credits by taking part in various prison programs. There's no data on whether Bankman-Fried, who was sentenced to 25 years in prison, will be getting out early. Now, 2024 was a rough year for the housing market. Buyers were met with higher prices, sluggish sales, and high interest rates. We take a look at what buyers can expect next year.
The housing market has had a tough year, but if you're looking to buy a home in 2025, experts predict there's some good news.
It's going to be a better year for home buyers.
Lawrence Yoon with the National Association of Realtors says more homes are expected to come onto the market, giving buyers more options.
So more choices, more inventory, that will lead to boosts in home sales.
The other good news, mortgage rates are expected to come down. As of last week, the average rate on a 30-year fixed mortgage was 6.72%, according to Freddie Mac. But Yoon predicts those rates to come down closer to 6%, which can make a big difference for your wallet.
Even a 0.5 percentage point change in mortgage rate could mean about $150 savings in monthly mortgage costs.
Here's the bad news. Home prices aren't expected to come down anytime soon. In fact, they're expected to rise. The NAR predicting the median existing home sale price to be $410,700 in 2025. But Yoon recommends buyers should still negotiate on the price and shop around for the best mortgage rate.
Look for the mortgage lender who offers the best rates and even consider adjustable rate mortgage.
And if you are in the market to buy a home, Yoon suggests not taking on large debt like a car loan before you're approved for a home loan.
Former Time Warner CEO Richard Parsons has died. Financial services firm Lazard, where he had served on the board, confirmed his death. In a statement, the company said his career, quote, embodied the finest traditions of American business leadership. The prominent executive led Time Warner's turnaround after a disastrous merger with AOL and slashed the company's debt in roughly half. He was later tapped to lead Citigroup after the financial crisis of 2008. Parsons also put his leadership skills in action in professional basketball, where he served as interim CEO of the NBA's Los Angeles Clippers in 2014. Parsons was 76 years old. UnitedHealth and Amedisys have agreed to extend the deadline to close their $3.3 billion merger to next year. The deal faces scrutiny from the Department of Justice. The extension comes more than a month after the DOJ filed a lawsuit to block the deal. The Attorneys General of Maryland, New Jersey, and New York are also suing to block the merger. They cited concerns the deal would reduce competition in the home health services market. The companies have extended the deadline to 10 days after a final court decision, or December 31st, 2025, whichever comes first. The Justice Department sued to halt UnitedHealth's acquisition of Change Healthcare in 2022. The deal was completed later that year. And next story, Maryland is suing the company that produces the waterproof material Gore-Tex, alleging its leaders kept using forever chemicals long after learning about their serious health risks. Gore-Tex is often used for raincoats and as well as other outdoor gear. The same company also makes the coating on Teflon pans. The complaint focuses on a cluster of 13 facilities in northeastern Maryland. A Gore company spokesperson said it's surprised by the legal action and that the company has been proactive in speaking with state regulators over the past 2 years. In addition to cancers and immune system problems, exposure to certain forever chemicals has been linked to increased cholesterol levels, reproductive health issues, and developmental delays in children. And OpenAI moving full steam ahead toward becoming a for-profit firm, saying it needs to become an enduring company. What its plans are and what analysts think, here's the story.
OpenAI announces its for-profit plans on its website. OpenAI is the firm that released AI chatbot ChatGPT in 2022, which shocked many with its ability to intelligently respond to anything. OpenAI says it needs to raise more capital than it had initially imagined, and the nonprofit structure hampers its ability to do so.
Training these AI models costs an enormous amount of money and an enormous amount of talent.
AI researcher Alexander de Ritter agrees with OpenAI. He says AI is constantly advancing. Newer models cost far more.
As long as they behave in a nice capitalist way, not in a corporate monopolist way, I have no problem with people making money from the fruits of their labor.
Elon Musk is suing the company to block the move. He says OpenAI is evil and calls the for-profit effort a total scam. Musk is the founder of xAI, a firm that competes with OpenAI.
I think he's just a sort of legendary entrepreneur. He's also clearly a bully.
Sam Altman told the Free Press last week that this is all about competition.
OpenAI is doing really well. Elon cares about doing really well. Elon started and now runs a very direct competitor that's trying to do exactly what OpenAI does.
Ever since ChatGPT's release, many competitors have jumped into the ring.
They're competing with Google, and you have a big tech players too. Llama is pouring a lot of money into that. And you even have xAI and others.
AI expert Ashley Manraj says all the competition is even more of a reason why OpenAI should go for profit. With a non-profit structure, investor returns are capped, discouraging them from pouring in money. OpenAI wants to transform its existing for-profit arm into a Delaware public benefit corporation, mostly the same as a for-profit company, with an additional mandate to promote the public interest. Right now, OpenAI is deeply unprofitable. It's expecting $5 billion in losses on $3.7 billion in revenue this year.
Next, tensions between the U.S. and China around the Taiwan issue escalating. Today, Beijing announced the addition of 7 American defense firms to its sanction list. The sanctions are a response to the approval of the United States annual defense bill, which includes several clauses supporting Taiwan's security. Beijing labeled the content as negative on China. On top of that, President Biden last week approved sending over $570 million in aid to the island to enhance its defense capability. The Defense Department also authorized an arms sale worth nearly $300 million to the Taiwanese military. The U.S. is bound by law to provide Taiwan with weapons to defend itself. Communist China sees Taiwan as part of its territory despite never having ruled it. Brazil's labor authorities say Chinese workers at a local factory construction site are victims of human trafficking. The site is owned by China's electric vehicle producer BYD. Brazil's labor prosecutor's office released a brief statement but did not provide details on how prosecutors reached their conclusion. It said that BYD and contractor Xinjiang Group have agreed to house more than 160 workers. In a post on social media, Xinjiang rejected the portrayal of workers as enslaved. A Russian court fined social media video platform TikTok 3 million rubles, the equivalent of almost 30,000 US dollars. The Russian court accused the Chinese-owned app of violating information rules. Russia joins countries around the world in scrutinizing TikTok's practices. TikTok blocked Russian state news agencies RT and Sputnik in September. Earlier this month, the European Union was investigating whether TikTok was used to disrupt the election in Romania. The EU said that Russia could have been behind a campaign to push a certain candidate via the platform. And in the US, TikTok is involved in controversies such as the possibility of China accessing user data and the presence of harmful content for young users. And one IHOP server in Waukee, Iowa received the tip of a lifetime on Christmas Eve. Cell phone video captured the moment Kaylee was handed an envelope containing $1,700 in cash. The giving customer was Becky Popsiel. She was saying that it's become a family tradition to leave a server a generous tip. On Christmas Eve, this is the 5th year they've done so, and more than 50 people contributed to the tip. Kaylee, who is raising 2 young children, says she's going to use the money to help pay her tuition for nursing school. All right, just quickly here, Wall Street holiday cheer appeared to be ending abruptly today with all 3 main benchmarks closing lower. It was a broad sell-off affecting even tech and growth stocks that, if you remember, had driven markets higher through much of the shortened trading week. The sell-off thwarted the seasonal Santa Claus rally in which stocks traditionally rise during the last 5 sessions of December and the first 2 of January. And higher yields are seen as hampering growth stocks as well as they raise borrowing costs for businesses. These stocks were caught up in today's sell-off, but despite today's drop, all 3 indexes recorded weekly gains. All right, that's all from me and Business Matters today. Back to you.
Dama, thank you. Santa Claus rally, what happened?
I don't know. Must have been those high treasury yields weighing on business expansion and sentiment.
Yeah, maybe investors aren't on Santa's nice list.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Could very much be the case.
Could be the treasuries.
Probably the treasuries.
Interesting story on Hertz reportedly selling the Tesla vehicles. If you remember, we have Lauren Fix, one of our regulars on the show, great car expert. She told us recently that the best way to buy a car is actually buy it used not from the dealership, but from the car rental companies.
Yeah, I do remember that. I think we should have her back on to explain this whole thing again to refresh our memory. But yeah, I do remember her saying that getting a car new is not a very good deal because as soon as you drive in it, right, the price goes way down.
And this is particularly the case for electric vehicles. There's some videos on whatever social media you follow of people who buy Teslas, they need to sell it a year later, and the price is cut even beyond half.
Yeah. As soon as you drive it, the resale value, really plummets.
Hey, nice story on the lady in the restaurant who got the, what was it, $1,700?
$1,700.
It's pretty nice just before Christmas, 2 kids.
Yeah, it went to the perfect person, has 2 children, and has ambitions for nursing school. It couldn't have gone to a better person.
Yeah, this is 50 people contributed to the tip. This is interesting. I never heard of this kind of tradition before.
I mean, there's all kinds of variations to this type of thing. You also sometimes see celebrities, right, giving like thousands of dollars in tips to certain restaurants and waiters as well. So there's plenty of variation in that.
Sweet deal for the waitress.
Yeah.
Dama, appreciate it. Thank you. Have a good one. Hey, great weekend.
Yeah.
Happy New Year if I don't see you.
You as well. Thank you.